Welcome to Vedic Mathematics Basis-Based Values classes. Today we are taking up lesson number 4. It is about Shad Chakras, 6 eternal circuits of human body. The existence phenomenon within human frame is approached by Vedic systems along the format of Shad Chakras. Shad Chakras are the 6 eternal circuits of human body. Upanishads preserve external characteristics of these chakras. These external characteristics are in the form of the range 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. These values 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12 are parallel to the boundary components of hypercubes 1 to 6. Let us recapitulate that in the previous lesson we have been exposed to the format features of Sthapatya Miring rod. Let us recapitulate that Sthapatya Miring rod is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6. Hypercube 1 is the representative regular body of one space. Hypercube 2 is the representative regular body of two space. Hypercube 3 is the representative regular body of three space, and like that hypercubes 4, 5 and 6 are the representative regular bodies of 4, 5 and 6 spaces respectively. Let us further recapitulate that in the previous lesson, while being through the features of Sthapatya Miring rod, we have reached at the formulation a raised to power n is to 2n, b raised to power n minus 1, n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. These are the domain boundary ratios. It is a formulation of a domain boundary ratio of hypercubes. The n is equal to 1 takes us to hypercube 1, giving us a domain boundary ratio a raised to power 1 is to 2, b raised to power 0. This gives us a feature as that boundary components of one space, boundary n is equal to 1 gives us domain boundary ratio of hypercube 1, the representative regular body of one space, as a raised to power 1 is to 2, b raised to power 0. Let us revisit a raised to power 1 is to 2, b raised to power 0. It is giving us a value as that the boundary components of hypercube 1 are 2. Step ahead, n is equal to 2 gives us a domain boundary ratio formulation value as a square is to 4, b raised to power 1. This gives us value 4 for the boundary components of hypercube 2 square, 2 space body. Step ahead, a is equal to 3 gives us a raised to power 3 is to 6b square. A raised to power 3 is to 6b square. Cube, a 3 space body, hypercube 3 is enveloped within 6 surface plates. 3 space body is enveloped within a 6 surface plates. The external characteristics of 3 space body are 6, as the solids are enveloped within a surface boundary of 6 components. Interval is enveloped within a boundary of a pair of points. Square, 2 space body, hypercube 2 is enveloped within a linear boundary of 4 components. Cube, 3 space body, hypercube 3 is enveloped within a surface boundary, spatial boundary of 6 components. A step ahead, 4 space body is enveloped within a solid boundary of 8 components. N is equal to 4 gives us a domain boundary ratio as a raised to power 4 is to 8 b raised to power 3. The boundary of 4 space is solid. It is of 8 components. Step ahead, n is equal to 5 gives us domain boundary ratio a raised to power 5 is to 10 b raised to power 4. The 5 space body is enveloped within a creative boundary, 4 space boundary of 10 components. Step ahead, n is equal to 6 gives us a raised to power 6 is to 12 b raised to power 5. Self-referral domain, 6 space domain is enveloped within a transcendental boundary, 5 space boundary of 12 components. This chain, this range, this sequence of hypercubes 1 to hypercube 6, 1 space body to 6 space body, 1 space content format to 6 space content format is lumps enveloped within these boundaries of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12 components. Let us revisit the Upanishadic preservation. At here, Bahir Lakshanam, external characteristics ahead of the nose or 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. These boundary components are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. These are the boundary components. These are the external characteristics. The external characteristics of Shad Chakras, 6 circuits of human body, or the external characteristics of hypercubes 1 to 6, the boundary components of hypercube 1 to hypercube 6, which are in the ratio of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. One may have a pause here and see that the solar universe is of 6 space format. This 6 space format, Sun as a 6 space body, is changed in terms of a Sthapatya miring rod, a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6. The external characteristics of hypercubes 1 to 6 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. Let us have a pause here. The existence phenomenon of our solar universe is of a 6 space format which permits a chase in terms of a Sthapatya miring rod, which is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6 of boundary components, external characteristics in the ratio, in the range as a sequence 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. And these are the features within the existence phenomenon of our human body itself. The phenomenon of existence within human frame, phenomenon of existence outside the human frame in our solar universe are of the same format. Yatha pinde tatha brahmande, yatha brahmande tatha pinde. As is in the universe, so is in the body. As is in the body, so is in the universe. It is this unification feature, it is this achievement, it is this attainment of the Vedic systems which make Vedic systems of par excellence values. These par excellence values of Vedic systems are there parallel to the features of Sthapatya miring rod. These features of Sthapatya miring rod in terms of the boundary components are parallel to the external characteristics of human body. There are Shad chakras, there are 6 eternal circuits of human body. These external characteristics are of the values range 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. Once we have an idea, once we comprehend this feature that the existence phenomenon within human body is as is of external expressions, the same is of the form and format of the boundaries of hypercubes 1 to 6. Once we have this insight, once we have this enlightenment, once we have this comprehension, once we are thinking parallel to this, once our mental thought and our mental state is like that, the existence phenomenon of our solar universe and existence phenomenon within human body are of the same format, are of the parallel features, and once this comprehension is there, once this insight is there, then we are parallel to the Vedic systems. The Vedic systems initial base value is that the existence phenomenon of our solar universe as well as the existence phenomenon within human body are permitting change in terms of the format of a Sthapatya miring rod. Sthapatya miring rod is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6, the representative regular bodies of 1 to 6 space. Let us have a pause here. Let us recapitulate that originally there was one way, wholesome way, single way for the entire range of knowledge. This way was reorganized with Maharishi Ved Vyas as 4 Vedas: Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved and Athar Ved. Rig Ved is of 21 branches, Yajur Ved is of 101 branches, Sam Ved is of 1000 branches and Athar Ved is of 9 branches. These compilations, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved and Athar Ved, are the pure values compilation. Parallel to these pure values are the compilations as Upavedas of these quadruple Vedas. Rig Ved is a compilation of pure values, and parallel to it the applied values are compiled as Ayurved. Yajur Ved is a compilation of pure values, and parallel to it are the applied values of Dhanurved. Samved is the compilation of pure values, and parallel to it are the compilations of applied values as Gandharva Upaved. Atharved is a compilation of pure values, and parallel to it are the applied values of Sthapatya Upaved. Let us further have a pause here and recapitulate that Atharved is the system of interpretation of reaching at the values of first 3 Vedas. Rig Ved, Yajur Ved and Samved together are designated as Tri Vidya. This Tri Vidya interpretation, meanings, systems, values, virtues are reached at in terms of the values of Atharva Ved. The pure values of Atharved are having parallel applied values as Sthapatya Upaved. The Sthapatya Upaved is the applied values compilation of pure values of Atharved. As Atharved as pure values compilation gives us a format and a system for reaching at the values of Tri Vidya, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved and Samved. Sthapatya Upaved the compilation of applied values of the pure values of the Atharvaved as such becomes a practical format, practical system, practical axioms, practical postulates, practical working steps for reaching at the applied values of Ayurveda, applied values of Dhanurveda, applied values of Gandharva Veda. As such, Charak Samhita, the basic scripture of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the compilation of applied values of pure values of Rig Veda. Rig Veda, Yajurveda and Samveda are three Vidya. Atharvaveda gives us the system, format, principles to reach at the values of three Vidya. The pure values of Atharvaveda are having parallel applied values of Atharvaveda or as Sthapatya Upaveda. So Sthapatya Upaveda gives us the practical format for reaching at the pure values. Now, parallelly, as Atharvaveda takes us to Tri Vidya, the Sthapatya Upaveda parallelly takes us to the applied values of Tri Vidya. Ayurveda is the Upaveda of a Rig Veda, Sthapatya Veda is the Upaveda of Atharvaveda. As such, the Ayurveda can be reached at in terms of and along the formats and systems of Sthapatya Upaveda. Those who want to have a proper insight and proper enlightenment about the values of Ayurveda, they have to initiate themselves in terms of the values of a Sthapatya Upaveda. Sthapatya Upaveda gives us the practical format in terms of which the values of the Ayurveda can be reached at. The Shad Chakras format of human body and the Sthapatya miring rod as a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6 makes a common format. One may have a pause here and take note that the Vedic systems or unified systems, they chase along a common format. This common format is the format of a Sthapatya miring rod. It is this common format of Sthapatya miring rod which takes us to a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6. Ayurveda, which is a Veda of the Ayu, age of existence phenomenon within human body, it takes us through and along in terms of the external characteristics of the Shad Chakras. The external characteristics of Shad Chakras and the boundary components of the hypercubes 1 to 6 synthesizing Sthapatya miring rod are parallel to each other. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. It deserves to be appreciated thoroughly. It deserves to be absorbed completely to acquire a proper insight and to attain appropriate enlightenment about the Vedic systems and the basis-based format. The basis-based format of organization of applied values for the pure values is of Sthapatya miring rod, which is a synthetic setup of hypercubes 1 to 6. Hypercube 1 is a one space body, hypercube 2 is a two space body, hypercube 3 is a three space body, hypercube 4 is a four space body, hypercube 5 is a five space body, hypercube 6 is a six space body. We are well acquainted with the cube three space body. It's a solid. So because it is a solid, so we are more intimately acquainted with cube as a three-space body, a hypercube. N is equal to 3 gives us a raised to power 3 is to 6b square. Cube volume is enveloped within a surface plate, 6 surface plate. It is like a room which has 4 walls, roof and the floor. The cube as a room as enveloped within 4 walls, roof and the floor. These 6 surfaces together take us that this cube in fact will be having 7 versions. The first version is when whole of the volume is enveloped within all the 6 surface plates, or it is like a room whose all the 6 surface plates are intact. Now let us remove one by one. A room with 5 walls, a room with 4, 3, 2, 1, and ultimately room in which there is no wall at all. So that volume, that ice capsule, that particular volume, which is that particular room which is not having a wall or a floor or a roof, is the 7th version. Therefore, when we reach at cube, when we reach at a 3-space content which is enveloped within 6 surface plates, this content itself, when it is free from all the 6 surfaces, it makes a particular version. Therefore, the students who are desirous, anxious, are fulfilled with intensity of urge to have a comprehension of these hypercubes, these dimensional bodies, they shall initially may begin with the cube itself. The cube, a volume part, internal content part, it is enveloped within 6 surfaces. And when all these 6 surfaces are removed, when it is stripped off, all the surfaces are stripped off, there remains only a volume. It in itself is a state. It is a 7th state. So first state, if it is when all the 6 surfaces are intact, then the 7th state is when none of the walls is intact, none of the surface plates is intact. Let us move sequentially. Let us take that a state in which one of the walls is one of the surface plate is removed. Here, when there is only one of the surface plate is intact, when one of the surface plates is removed and when only one of the surface plates is intact, these are the 2 other states. First 2 states we have glimpsed when all the 6 surface plates are intact, when none of the surface plates is intact. Then we have reached that when only one of the surface plate is intact and when none of the surface plates is intact. Let us go a step ahead. When the 2 surface plates are removed, only 4 are there, or only 2 surface plates are there and all the 4 have been removed. And the last stage will be when 3 surface plates are intact and 3 are removed. It is a stage which makes a distinct duality in itself. It can be viewed as half enveloped, or it can be viewed as half stripped off. The cube with only 3 surface plate can be viewed as half boundary intact, or it can be viewed as half boundary stripped off, or it is a state when half of the boundary is there and half of the boundary is not there. These are the 7 states. These are the 7 versions. These are the 7 versions of cube. These are the 7 versions of hypercube 3. These are the 7 versions of hypercube 3. These are 7 bodies of 3 space. 3 space is having 7 geometries range. Each geometry is having a distinct body. These 7 versions of cube are the 7 bodies of 7 geometries of 3 space. A step ahead, when we'll reach 4 space, when we'll reach hypercube 4, then we'll see that hypercube 4 is enveloped within a solid boundary of 8 components. So a stage when all the 8 boundary components are intact or none of the boundary component is there. Like that, we can reach at when one boundary component is removed or one boundary component is intact. Step ahead, when 2 boundary components are removed or 2 boundary components are intact, when 3 boundary components are removed or 3 boundary components are intact, and finally a stage when half the boundary is intact and half the boundary is stripped off. It makes 9 versions. Let us recapitulate. Cube is of 7 versions. Hypercube 4 is of 9 versions. A step ahead, hypercube 5 is going to be of 11 versions. And hypercube 6 is going to be of 13 versions. Let us have a pause here. The first chakra, first eternal circuit of human body is of 2 external characteristics and it gives 3 versions. Second eternal circuit is of 4 external characteristics and it gives 5 versions. Third Shad chakra is of 6 external characteristics and it gives 7 versions. The fourth eternal circuit is of 8 external characteristics and it gives 9 versions. Fifth eternal circuit is of 10 external characteristics and it gives 11 versions. Sixth eternal circuit is of 12 external characteristics and it gives 13 versions. From here, in terms of these features, we can see how the Vedic format of Sthapatya miring rod is unfolding itself sequentially to such a large number of features, and all these features are simultaneously available for organization of the existence phenomenon within human frame and the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. Thank you very much.